Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. You know, one of the biggest crazes, and maybe we're kind of catching it a little late. Maybe we won't upload this, but it's something we were already talking about after we stopped recording the other video. Channing Tatum, does he deserve his own Gambit film?
Yes.
That's the whole video, guys. Thank you so much. We've been waiting a long time for this.
He's gonna make a name for himself.
Oh man, you know the crazy part about Channing Tatum is that this isn't the first time. In case people want to understand, there was other films of Gambit that were supposed to come out. You know, there was X-Men Origins, there was Magneto Origins, and there was also Gambit Origins. It was supposed to be like a whole Origins lineup. The downside, and keep in mind we all love Hugh Jackman, we talk about Deadpool and Wolverine, is that this was supposed to become like a really big deal, but then because I think by the time Marvel had just bought Fox, if I'm not mistaken, which kind of ruined everything, right?
Yeah, they were at the end of all of the ideation stuff for Gambit, and it was about to start shooting when Fox was purchased by Marvel. And there's a interview with Channing Tatum talking about him talking to Kevin Feige about it. He's like, I really want to do it. I think we could do it. It'd be really awesome. He's like, but I don't know where it fits in the story right now. And that's where he's been sitting since that purchase.
That sucks. I know that he cares a lot, and we talk about the other video about Deadpool and Wolverine about the care for a character. It really showed in the film.
Yep.
I never really thought of him as a Gambit, but I was very much sold when I finally did see it. I think that he absolutely killed it. And now I want to see a version of that. I know in X-Men Origins, they did have a version of Gambit. Do you remember that version? I forget who it was played by. I forget the actor's name. I'm going to put the screenshot here of them. What did you think of that performance back then?
So, if you didn't tell me he was Gambit, he would not hit me as Gambit. That was the problem. Is like I don't know. If you ever watched any of the animated ones, I was expecting more of that Creole stuff that we were given with Channing Tatum. But inside of the Wolverine Origins one, it's like he was kind of like played down a lot. And it's really hard to have the idea of a character that is so flamboyant to be played down, you know?
That is true. Gambit, Gambit's a very interesting character. He's not the most popular character, in my opinion. When I watched the original X series, but he is a very sharp personality. Like, it is almost to the point where it's too much, right? It kind of brings you out of it because he's such a stylized character. And if anybody watching who is a Gambit fan, I think kind of understands that when he steps into the room, it almost feels like he's a caricature. So it's and this is where I was afraid, like with Channing Tatum taking the role, I'm like, oh God, now it's just going to be like too much. It has to feel grounded in some way, shape or form. And like the only way it feels grounded in the animated series is that everyone is kind of portrayed over the top. I mean, I only think back into the early 90s, and I know that they redid that with the X-Men 97. Have you seen any of that with any of it?
I haven't got to watch any of it yet. I want to. I just haven't had time.
I tried watching some of it. It's really good. It's just I just need to sit down and actually watch more. But I know Gambit was in it, and it's if a person plays it, it almost feels like it's wow, this is just ridiculous. How can this even exist? But Channing Tatum did a really good job with it. And I saw him in an interview when he was pushing his I believe his wife's movie. Is this wife's movie? I believe so. And he was talking about his character or a movie that he's in. So if I'm misspeaking, I know the interview specifically, so I'll overlay just like a screenshot of it here. But I'm really confident that he just wants to do justice by the character. And I feel like that goes miles. If somebody just has that behind the character and knows their lore inside out, then I know that's just going to showcase on film. Versus just, let's say you're like, oh, we're going to give it to X, Y, and Z
Chris
person.
Pratt.
Yeah.
It's always Chris Pratt. That was my biggest concern when I saw Channing Tatum was going to be Gambit until I really did the research and found out he's been wanting to do it for 10 years.
Yeah.
I was afraid it was just another Chris Pratt style sell. You know, it's like, who are we going to do Mario? Chris Pratt. What about Garfield? Chris Pratt. It's like everybody's Chris Pratt.
And this doesn't take away to get Chris Pratt is a very talented actor.
He is.
But you can't have everything be Chris Pratt.
No.
Like, he did a great job as Mario. I mean, I wasn't too crazy about the film, but I'm sure if somebody
did a good job about Garfield too, but it's just one of those things. It's like you start becoming, fatigued for hearing that one actor playing everything.
Yeah, and kudos to him for getting a lot of work because I mean he's very talented. It's just spread it out a little bit, just like anything else, and then you need people who are so passionate behind the character, because I guarantee as much as Chris Pratt did a great job, there's somebody out in the world that could have made it the cult following that what Channing Tatum has done with Gambit.
Yep.
And so, I mean, hey, we kind of talk about overall with Channing Tatum. He's such an interesting actor, because I always think of him in terms of comedy roles. I know he's been branching out to do more serious roles, because I mean, the only thing sometimes I always think of is like, my name is Jeff. But it's always hard for actors. And I couldn't put us all in like the content creator space, is that it's very hard for actors like to branch out whenever they're pigeonholed into doing one thing. So I can relate to that, because I mean, obviously we did content for a pretty long time outside of just this channel. It's like, I think of Robin Williams whenever he first branched out to his first drama, or I think of Jim Carrey branching out first drama, and everyone always says you can only do comedy, and that's kind of what I also have made the mistake of putting actors into certain roles. Oh, they can't do that. I don't think they can do that. But then their passion and what they can do does exceed our expectations, because they care immensely.
Right.
I can't think of many projects where there's somebody who cares so much about the source material that made a movie that failed. I can't think of one
except for Henry Cavill.
Oh, wow. That's actually a kind of a big one. Well, I don't think he failed. I see him as Superman.
No, he never fails. That's the problem, is everything fails around him.
Yeah, he is. When I think of him as the Witcher, when I think of him as Superman, he did it. In my eyes, he did a great job. It's just, you're right. Yep. Everything around it wasn't successful. So if Channing Tatum does do his own movie and the writing and everything is bad around it, I'm confident he will be the Henry Cavill that we want, meaning that he will succeed. Yep. Yes, everything around it will fail, but at least we get part of it. You know, I don't really know. I hope. Now, the concern is like maybe the CGI won't be as good. They won't give them a large amount of budget, and then like it just doesn't succeed the way it should. You know.
Right.
At least that's my fear. I wish for him the best, and I hope everyone in the comment section let us know what your thoughts are, if we're just maybe being too biased. But listen, it's just like whenever I first saw Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool, and I was like, this dude could play Deadpool. And then I finally saw like that screen testing that was leaked, and then I was like, oh my God, like he's so good, you know?
Very surprising, by the way, especially because I'd seen Origins already, and I was like, I don't need another one of these.
Yeah, I was like, there's no way. But like even then, I would say like some of the better things I was like was those cameo slots, or like I guess so to speak. I was like, he does make a great impression as Deadpool. He really does. All I think of is Deadpool now looking at the screen saying, "The proposal." He was great in that movie too. Don't get me wrong. Sandra Bullock and him were hilarious in that film, you know? Well, any closing thoughts about Gambit, Channing Tatum?
No, I mean, I think he did awesome. Everybody gives him crap about his accent, but he's from that area. He's from Mississippi, right? Not too far off from like Lafayette and stuff like that, from Louisiana, where it's very common to hear that Creole style speak. So as much as even Deadpool made fun of it, he's pretty on point. It was pretty impressive.
Yeah, I thought his coaches from the Minions were amazing.
Yeah.
Well, everybody, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you guys all in the next one.